Welcome to Webex Training, and today we're going to be looking at scheduling a session on the new Webex Training. So take you straight to the sign-in page. So once you sign into Webex, this is what you see, and it defaults to Webex meetings. So this is your personal room. So if you have a look on the left-hand side, at the bottom left, there is an option for Webex Training. If you go ahead and click on Webex Training, this will open up the following page. So this is the Webex Training homepage, and there's lots of different options on here, and this is where we're going to schedule our Webex Training session. There's a number of different options, like I said. You can click to change the preferences. Feel free to have a look around and see what that does. But the main thing you're going to want to do is click on Schedule Training, which takes you to the Schedule Training Session page. Looks more complicated than it is, to be perfectly honest, but on the topic, all you got to do is type in a topic. So what's the session about? In this case, it's a Webex training session. Then set your session password. You can put down anything you want. It does offer you a suggestion to begin with, but a topic and a password is required here. You can also select to send a copy of the attendee invitation to you as the tutor, so that you can see exactly what they can see as well, to make sure that everything is okay. You move down to audio conference settings. You've got two choices really, Webex audio or call in. Just leave it as Webex audio, that's perfectly fine. Leave everything there as it is, and then you've got the date and time. Should be relatively self-explanatory. Pick the date and time that you want to do it. One thing to be aware of, it does it in the 12-hour clock, so if you're putting 2 o'clock down, make sure you're choosing PM correctly, otherwise you'll be sending out an invitation to everyone at 2 in the morning. And you have a choice of choosing the time zone as well, so where you are in the world. So if you're in the UK, for example, you put it down as a London time zone, that means it schedules it at that time in that time zone. Then you've got the occurrences. You can do the one session, or you can do a recurring single session, which is the same session over and over again to different people. Multiple session course, which is for one group over a period of time. But choose the right one you want, choose the duration that you want, and then you can move down. There is an option for registration. If you need people to register for the course, you can click on it, just follow the instructions there. Very unlikely that you'll need it, but it is there just in case you need it. The next part is attendee and presenter lists. So this is where we invite people to join the session as attendees or as additional presenters. So if you have someone else in the room who you want to take part as a host or a presenter, you pop it in the invite presenters box. But we're going to show you how to do the attendees. So once you click on it, it opens up this box, and what you can do is you can invite someone who you've invited previously, because you may have them saved. But if it's someone new, type in their full name and type in their email address as well. You can type in a phone number if you so wish, it's up to you. But then look at the time zone. Make sure you select the correct time zone and locale for that person, because if you set it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the UK and you select a different country that they're in, it's going to send it out at the time zone for them, so it'll send it out at a very different time. So make sure all of that's correct. Once you've added them, click Add Attendee at the bottom right, and it comes up at the top of the screen with that person added to the list. Once you're happy with your list, select the people you want to invite and click on Invite, and that sends the invite through to them. You'll now notice that this comes up on the screen as invited attendees, so the people you've invited, they are now in that box as well, for you to be able to see. The same thing happens if you select some presenters and invite them. The same thing will happen. They'll get an invite and that box will become populated. Moving on to the session options, this is an incredibly important part of setting up the session. If you don't do this at this point, a lot of the functionality within the session might not work properly, and it defaults to a certain setting, as you can see on the screen now. So your training session options is that you are able to have chat, file transfers, video, and they're all there, but the attendee privileges is where you need to pay a little bit of attention. You potentially don't want your attendees to be able to record the session, but again, that's up to you. You can still record it yourself. However, when it comes to documents and things that are going to be shared on the screen, you definitely need to have most of these options ticked. because that means they'll be able to get involved. When it comes to the next or previous page, that one specifically allows the delegates to move pages in PowerPoint presentations, should we say, of their own accord, so they can do that. Once you're happy with all of the options, click on Save, and then we can move on with the rest of the setup. The next section is the breakout session assignment settings. Now these can either be set up before the session or during the session. If you want to do it before the session, fine, just click on Enable there and then set the numbers that you want to set. It can make life a little bit easier during the session because you just press a button and it opens up and does things automatically for you. However, I personally find it easier to do it within the session, knowing what you've got in front of you, but you can do that, it is there. Email options. On the emails that get sent out in the invites, you can add things to that email, so you can add an agenda, or you can add that in text or as a website, or you can add pictures, and you can also add a description to what's going to happen during the session as well. And when you place all of this information in those boxes, once those invites go out, all of that information is made available to the delegates. Next up is course material. So if you are delivering a training session or delivering a training course, you can now add course material to this part of Webex Training. So when they get their invite, they're also invited to download all of the course material that they're going to need. It's a particularly useful feature. We can still transfer things as we go along, but it can be useful to put it in there. We can also add tests if you so wish at the same time. Now once you're happy with all of that and you're ready to schedule the meeting, click on Schedule and it'll show you that the session has been scheduled. It tells you where to find the session. It tells you what the information of the session is. You'll probably receive an email as well to say that you've scheduled the session, and you maybe receive another email that has the attendee invite as well. But once you go back to your personal room, you'll now see at the bottom of the screen it says in upcoming meetings, 10 AM till 11:30 AM as it says here, Webex training session, and it gives you the option to start it as well. So that just that appears on your home screen, and to start it you can just click on Start. You can also have a look in a bit more detail at all the meetings you've got coming up by clicking on Meetings. This opens up this page and this shows all of your upcoming meetings in a certain time scale, and again you can start the meeting from there.